Distinguished colleagues, JAM Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 133, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the eighth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Osita Ngo on the Health Infrastructure Development Agency Establishment Bill 2023, SB 135. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Health Infrastructure Development Agency Establishment Bill 2023, XB 135, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Health Infrastructure Development Agency Establishment Bill 2023, SB 135, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the ninth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Saliu Mustafa on the National Food Reserve Agency Establishment Bill 2023, SB 139. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Food Reserve Agency Establishment Bill 2023, SB 139, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, National Food Reserve Agency Establishment Bill 2023, SB 139, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the 10th business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Musa Mohammed Sani and distinguished Senator Moro Abba Patrick on the North Central Development Commission Establishment Bill 2023, SB 140. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, North Central Development Commission Establishment Bill 2023, XB 140, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, North Central Development Commission Establishment Bill 2023, SB 140, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the 11th business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Yisa Ashiro Oyelola on the Federal University of History and Archaeology Establishment Bill 2023, SB 141. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal University of History and Archaeology Establishment Bill 2023, SB 141, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Federal University of History and Archaeology Establishment Bill 2023, SB 141, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the 12th business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Jarigbe Agom Jarigbe on the Federal Medical Center, Ogoja, Establishment Bill 2023, SB 142. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal Medical Center Ogoja Establishment Bill 2023 XB 142, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Federal Medical Center Ogoja Establishment Bill 2023 SB 142, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Distinguished Senator, please. The chamber is very noisy.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the 13th business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Sulaiman Umar Sadiq on the National Research Institute for Chemical Technology Establishment Bill 2023, SB 143. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Research Institute for Chemical Technology Establishment Bill 2023, SB 143, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, National Research Institute for Chemical Technology Establishment Bill 2023 SB 143, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the 14th business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in my name on the Federal College of Agriculture and Tropical Studies, Efon-Alaye, Ekiti State Establishment Bill 2023, SB 144. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal College of Agriculture and Tropical Studies, Efon-Alaye, Ekiti State Establishment Bill 2023, SB 144, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Federal College of Agriculture and Tropical Studies, Efon-Alaye, Ekiti State Establishment Bill 2023, SB 144, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, the 15th business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Kaka Shehu Lawal on the Federal University of Agriculture and Entrepreneurship, Bama Establishment Bill 2023, SB 145. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal University of Agriculture and Entrepreneurship, Bama Establishment Bill 2023, SB 145, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Federal University of Agriculture and Entrepreneur, Bama Establishment Bill 2023, SB 145, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the 16th business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Onyewuchi Ezenwa Francis on the Alvan Ikoku Federal University of Education, Owerri, Establishment Bill 2023, SB 146. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Alvan Ikoku Federal University of Education, Owerri, Establishment Bill 2023, SB 146, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Alpha and Ikoku Federal University of Education, Owerri, Establishment Bill 2023, SB 146, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the first order of the day is a motion standing in the name of distinguished Senator Zam Titus Tatenga on urgent need to resettle the displaced people of Goa West, Makurdi, and Guma local government to their ancestral habitat and to avert imminent humanitarian crisis in Benue State. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Zam Titus Tatenga to move the motion.
Distinguished Senator Titus Zam.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Dr. Titus Tatenga Zam. I represent the dynamic people of Benue Northwest Senatorial District. And I rise to present the motion titled Urgent Need to Resettle the Displaced People of Goa West, Makurdi, and Guma local government areas to their ancestral homes and to avert imminent humanitarian crisis in Benue State. The Senate notes that the peace-loving and great farmers of Goa West, Makurdi, and Guma local government areas of Benue State have been sacked and displaced by bandits masquerading as herders in the last 7 years. As a result, my people have taken abode at camps under very deplorable and excruciating conditions at Naka, Agagbe, Abagana, North Bank, Daudu, Umenge, and Bajimba of Goa West, Makurdi, and Guma local government areas, respectively. The Senate also notes that the continued stay of the people at the camps potentially exposes them to humanitarian crisis of outbreak of disease and other health challenges. Further notes that statistics from Benue State Emergency Management Agency, BESEMA, indicate that as at September 2022, the number of IDPs in Benue State had totaled 1,597,000 persons. Worried that catering for this huge population is beyond the financial strength of Benue State government, the Senate is therefore to note that between January and October 2022, 560 children living in these IDP camps scattered all over Benue State have been reported by BESEMA as having been malnourished. The Senate should further note that the immediate past Vice President, Professor Yemi Osibanjo, paid a sympathy visit to Benue State in 2018 as elections were approaching and promised the people of Benue State the sum of 10 billion naira for the resettlement of the displaced persons, a promise that is unfortunately kept in breach. The Senate is therefore invited to resolve that one, to direct the Chief of Defense Staff to immediately facilitate and supervise the quick return of all the displaced persons to their ancestral homes, and as well provide a sustainable security corridor to all flashpoints within the affected communities. 2, to also direct the Ministry of Humanitarian and Poverty Alleviation to provide medical, food, and other relief materials to the displaced persons. And 3, urge the federal government to redeem the 10 billion naira promise made by the federal government to the people of Benue State to rebuild the destroyed communities. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, only last Saturday, these attacks happened again, and several people were killed, including my coordinator in Gwe West Local Government, where I come from. As I speak, my distinguished colleagues, my own parents are languishing in IDP camp. And if as a senator, remember that my first comment here as a senator, I cried to you that I voted in the last election as an IDP person. What else can be more traumatizing than this? I therefore beg of you to support this motion and do everything humanly possible to see to it that my people return to their ancestral homes. I so move, Mr. Senate President, distinguished colleagues. Thank you.
Senator Nweboyi.
Thank you, Mr. President. I remain Senator Peter Onyekachi Nwebon, speaking for the good people of Ebonyi North Senatorial District. I stand to second this motion moved by my brother, Dr. Sam. And in addition to that, Mr. President, this motion is very sensitive and is expected that should be given very special attention in view of the fact that the victims are being subjected to a lot of humanitarian crisis. I am their neighbor, and many of the victims cross over to Ebonyi, to take refuge. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Air Vice Marshal Bali.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Air Vice Marshal Napoleon Bali, retired, Senator representing the peaceful people of Plateau South. Well, this issue of insecurity in the 6 geopolitical zones, yes, Senator Yaradua has started it, and the one in Benue State is actually apt. Other zones are there. Irrespective of what we are discussing there and all the peace and security summits you've had, this is what terror wants to achieve. Every day we keep discussing, and making government to feel as if they cannot protect their people. This is what they want. And there is no rocket science about this. We can bring anybody and keep postponing this. All we need to do is to have troops on ground. Now, like
Yeah, thank you, distinguished Senator Napoleon Valley, and thank you, distinguished Senator Titus Zam. I think the motion is very straightforward. So we go to the prayers. Prayer 1, direct the Chief of Defense Staff to immediately facilitate and supervise the quick return of all displaced persons to their ancestral homes, as well provide a sustainable security corridor to all flashpoints within the affected communities. Yes.
I amend Senator Napoleon Bali. The amendment to the prayer is to request the federal government to direct the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs to liaise with the CDS, that's the Chief of Defense Staff, Inspector General of Police, and the Governor of Benue State, then now to facilitate and supervise the quick return of the displaced persons. The rest is there. So that's the amendment I have on that prayer 1.
Listen, Senator Abo.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Ishiaku Abo. I represent the good people of Adamawa North. I second the motion as amended by distinguished Senator Napoleon Bali. Thank you.
Listen, colleagues, prayer 1 has been amended and seconded. Those who are in support of prayer 1 as amended say aye. Those against say nay. The amended prayer 1 is sustained. Prayer 2, also direct the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management to provide medical, food, and other relief materials to the displaced persons. Those who are in support of this prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3, urge the federal government to redeem the 10 billion naira pledge made to the good people of Benue State by the last Vice President of Nigeria to rebuild the destroyed communities. Those who are in support of this prayer 3 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Let me thank distinguished Senator Sam for bringing the plight of his people to the fore, and to pray that the resolutions here will be adhered to, and it will help to take your parents back to their home. So at next election, you don't contest from an IDP camp. I really am in sympathy with you, and I thank God that you were able to win the election from an IDP camp. And I think this resettlement will also resettle you permanently. Thank you for this motion. Yes, Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the second order of the day is a motion standing in the name of distinguished Senator Asuko Ekpayo on the persistent denial of treatment and care to victims of gunshot wounds and other emergencies, urgent need to ensure compliance with the provisions of the Compulsory Treatment and Care for Victims of Gunshots Act 2017. Mr. President, you will recall that on Tuesday, 3rd October 2023, the Senate, via Order 42 sub 2 of our standing order, approved that this motion be moved on the next legislative day, which is today. Accordingly, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Asuko Ekpayong to move the motion.
Distinguished Senator Asuko Ekpayong.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My name is Asuko Ekpayong, Senator representing Cross River South. I'm here to present the motion on the persistent denial of treatment and care to victims of gunshot wounds and other emergencies, urgent need to ensure compliance with the provision of the Compulsory treatment, and care for victims of Gunshots Act 2017. The Senate worried that even within the Federal Capital Territory and across the country, hospitals continue to demand for police report before victims and operators. Aware that following the enactment of the National Health Act 2014, and particularly the Compulsory Treatment and Care for Victims of Gunshots Act 2017, victims of gunshots and other emergencies now have the right to treatment, a right which is rooted in Section 1 thereof and reads to wit. As from the commencement of this act, every hospital in Nigeria, whether public or private, shall accept or receive for immediate and adequate treatment, with or without police clearance, any person with a gunshot wound. Also aware that Section 3 of the Compulsory Treatment and Care for Victims of Gunshot Act 2017 reiterates the provision of Section 1 thereof by providing that no gunshot victim shall be refused immediate and adequate treatment whether or not an initial monetary deposit has been made. Again, aware that Section 13 provides that any person or authority, including any police officer or other security agents or hospitals, who stands by or admits to do his bit, which results in the unnecessary death of any person with bullet wound, commits an offense and shall on conviction be liable to 5 years imprisonment and or a fine of 50,000. A provision which the 10th Senate may review to provide for stiffer penalties. Concerned that the problem with the treatment of gunshot victims is not because of an absence of law, because the Compulsory Treatment and Care of Victims of Gunshots Act 2017 clearly provides for the mandatory treatment of such victims alongside punishments for contravention of the provisions of this act, but that the problem is centered around enforcement and compliance. Affirms the need to uphold the provisions of Section 14(2)(b), 33 and 34 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as altered, and to ensure strict compliance with the provision of the Compulsory Treatment and Care of Victims of Gunshots Act 2017 to stop further unnecessary loss of precious life due to persistent refusal of hospitals to admit, treat, and care for victims of gunshots and other emergencies. The Senate accordingly resolves to 1. Observe a minute silence for the repose of the soul of Miss Greatness Olurunfemi, who allegedly lost her life on Tuesday, the 26th of September 2023, due to the refusal of Metaima District Hospital, Abuja, to provide treatment and care because of an absence of a report, and several other Nigerians who have lost their lives in similar circumstances nationwide. 2. Invite the Honorable Minister of Health and the Inspector General of Police to appear before the Joint Committee on Health and Police Affairs to brief the committee on the non-compliance with the provision of the Compulsory Treatment and Care for Victims of Gunshots Act 2017. And 3. Mandate the Committees on Health, Police Affairs, and Legislative Compliance to ensure compliance. I so move.
Dismissed Senator Mangunu.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. I second the motion and further crave your indulgence to add that the mover of the motion, in arguing the motion, brought out the problems that constitute a cog in the wheel of enforcement of the act. Mr. President, distinguished senators, laws are meant to be implemented. As it is now, the relevant law, I've already seconded it. And you are not the Senate President. Then, Mr. President, sorry for the interruption. I would have ignored him. Yes, he's a meddlesome interloper. So, Mr. President, as it is now, it's like the law is a toothless bulldog that can bark but cannot bite. So we should rise to the occasion, maybe through our Committee on Legislative Compliance, make the relevant agencies that are charged with the responsibility of enforcement of this law to enforce the law, so that for the first time it will serve as a deterrence to authorities that are in the breach of the observance of this law. That thing we should do. Then secondly, the punishment. There is need for a review of the punishment. What is 50,000 naira penalty? For example, if a multi-billion naira hospital is in breach of that act and he is given an option of either a life imprisonment or 50,000 naira, they will just pay the 50,000 naira and walk away. So there is need for this August Assembly that is charged with the responsibility of making laws for the peace, order, and good governance of the country to change the law, because laws are supposed to change with the changing nature of society. Laws are supposed to be organic documents that change with the changing nature of society, per Udo Udoma of blessed memory. So there is need for this chamber to amend the law, to make the laws more stiffer, so that it will deter will-be offenders. Thank you.
The distinguished colleagues, Senator Ningi, any addition?
Thank you, Mr. Senate President. My name is Senator Ningi, and I represent Bauchi Central, Bauchi State. From the onset, let me commend Senator Asuko for this very, very, very important motion, and very timeless. Mr. President, yesterday, the AIT reviewed the entire episode, the graphic, vivid episode of what happened. It was very chilling, and I could not imagine a human being could do to a fellow human being what Abuja General Hospital did to that young lady. A taxi driver, sir, picked this lady voluntarily because she was breathing. He put her at the back of the vehicle, brought her, and went and knocked at the door of the Abuja General Hospital. And two nurses came out. And she said, and the man told them, please, save the life of this young woman, that she was fatally shot and wounded. They said, wounded how? That she was shot. By who? He said, I didn't know. I saw her on the ground and I picked her. Against all risks, I wanted to save this young lady, and I brought her to this hospital because it's the closest to where I picked her. There and then, they not only say he should leave, they closed the gate. They shut the door to the hospital. They shut the door. And the man was shouting, this guy will die. Nobody from the hospital came out to say anything until when the girl died. And the man didn't even know what to do. AIT showed complete picture of what happened. When Senator Asuko raised this matter of urgent public, I didn't know it was that graphic. And it was on video. I think what we need to do, in addition to the prayers, is to make sure that the hospital is charged for manslaughter. Those people actually killed that girl, not the armed robber that shot her. The armed robber that shot her actually wounded her. But those people killed her. It was unbelievable. And I'm very sure this is very rampant. In spite of this law in place, ignorance of the law is not a solution. That you didn't know. The law is in place. And therefore, we should do whatever we can as a Senate in making sure that the Abuja National Hospital pays for this manslaughter. Maitama Hospital. It's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like that.
Yes, point of order.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise pursuant to Order 8 sub 3 to move for an extension of time to enable us complete what we have on the other paper.
Yes, Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Mr. President, I rise to second the motion moved by Leader of the Senate that the Senate do extend the time for sitting in order to be able to contend with what is on the other paper. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that this Senate do extend the time of its sittings beyond 2 o'clock. Those who are in support of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Yes, Senator Nengi.
President, you are not the Senate President. Please don't talk to me like that. The Maitama Hospital should not only be prosecuted, but they should pay for all the liabilities of that woman. And this chamber must be able to direct the Inspector General of Police to do a nationwide broadcast that this law is in place so that everybody should know. Nobody should kill people because there is no police report attached to a hit victim. And a lot of people now, before now, sir, you see a victim on the road, you won't pick him. Because as you pick him, the police will ask you, maybe you are the one, or how does that happen? But if the law is in place and people are not aware of it, it is of course the duty of the police in telling Nigerians that this law is in place, and whoever, no matter his position, going against this law should be prosecuted. I moved this thing, but it's really telling. I couldn't sleep yesterday when I saw this thing. Senator Suko, thank you for bringing to the knowledge of Nigerians what happened some days ago. Thank you very much.
Senator Nader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Learned colleagues, my name, Neda Imaswen, Senator representing Edo South Senatorial District. I also lend my voice to thank the mover of this motion for this very important motion that he has moved. For me, I believe that we have to be very serious with this infraction. And we can actually start by looking at the chief law officer of this federation, who is the Attorney General. I believe this matter should be referred to his office for prosecution, and not unless an example is showed by moving to such a matter like this, having it prosecuted, and having people put into jail for such a very serious offense, it will continue. And so I'm asking for an additional prayer that this be referred to the Office of the Attorney General to seriously look into this with a view to prosecuting those that are involved in the untimely death of this young Nigerian. I so add.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion is very straightforward. A very horrific crime has been committed, and it's something that we need to look at the prayers very seriously and craft it in such a way that when it is communicated by the Secretariat, the import of the sadness of this Senate will be reflected. This is a terrible thing. For me, it shows man's inhumanity to man. For somebody to have been injured and to have been abandoned by hospital nurses and the hospital itself to die at the gate of where the person should have been saved, then you question the existence of hospitals in Nigeria. So what Maitama General Hospital has done must be used as an example to let the world know that yes, indeed, Nigeria had amended its laws to the effect that if people are unfortunate to be involved in crime and to be injured, that they deserve to be treated and their lives deserve to be saved. So let's go straight into the prayers. Observe a minute silence for the repose of the soul of Miss Greatness Olorunfemi, who allegedly lost her life on Tuesday, the 26th day of September 2023, due to refusal of Maitama District Hospital, Abuja, to provide treatment and care because of absence of police report and several other Nigerians who lost their lives in similar circumstances nationwide. Those who are in support of this prayer say aye. Aye. Those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2. Summon the Honorable Minister of Health and Inspector General of Police to appear before the Joint Committee on Health and Police Affairs to brief the committees on the non-compliance with the provisions of the Compulsory Treatment and Care for Victims of Gunshot Act 2017. The distinguished Senator Abu.
Mr. President, I propose an amendment to make it holistic, to read, mandate the Committee on Health and Police Affairs to invite the Honorable Minister of Health and the IGP and to holistically investigate the circumstances that led to the death of Mrs. Olorunfemi Greatness. Thank you.
Distinguished Senator Tamboa.
Mr. President, I am Amin Waziri Tambuwal, representing Sokoto South. Mr. President, my amendment is very close to that of Senator Abo, but I want to draw the attention of the Senate to the fact that, just hold on please, Maitama Hospital is not under Federal Ministry of Health. Neither is it under the Office of the IGP of Police. So they do not have administrative supervision over Maitama General Hospital. Maitama General Hospital is a facility run and owned by the FCDA, Federal Capital Development Authority. So I believe that that should be possibly added as part of the prayer. Yeah.
Okay, so this the earlier motion moved by the Senior Senator Abu. Does what is you were amending the prayer? Does what the Senior Senator Tamwa said further amends your prayer? Or is an addition?
Yes, sir. So when they bring the paper, we can ask someone to second, then the amendment paper will come to the Thank you, Mr. President, sir. I have very dangerous neighbors. Mr. President, it actually encompasses it all. Maybe someone should second the motion as jointly moved. Then a paper has already come here so that we can inculcate all of the agencies that are involved together in the amendment so that we can give it flesh. Thank you.
What order? Senator Jim Kuta.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name is David Esu Jimkuta, representing the good people of Taraba South, Kororofa Kingdom. Mr. President, my own is an additional prayer.
Let's conclude this other one then. Senators Abo and Tambua, we are waiting to see the combined amendment so that we can move to the next prayer, please. Tomorrow, turn and assist them. No, turn and assist them so that they can come up with a composite amendment that we can now rely on. So are you ready?
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, may I again read out the joint
Refresh. Use your mic. Don't worry about the noise.
Thank you, sir. Mandate the committees on health and police, police affairs, and FCT to invite the honorable ministers of health, FCT, and the Inspector General of Police, and to holistically investigate the circumstances that led to the death of Mrs. Greatness Orunfemi and come up with recommendations to the Senate within 3 weeks. I so move.
Well, I have a problem with it. Number one is invite, and number two is investigate. I would have thought that Senate calls for a thorough investigation into the circumstances leading to the abandonment of Miss Greatness by staff of Maitama General Hospital, a young Nigerian who was unfortunately involved, who was an unfortunate victim of gunshot wounds by unknown persons, taken there by a good Samaritan, but left to bleed to death without attention. Now I'm saying that's one. Then two, you are also inviting the Inspector General of Police to look into the circumstances that led to the shooting of the young lady through investigation with a view to bringing the culprits to book. But let's couch it because I want the import of what the Senate feels to be reflected in our prayers. We call for investigation and a report back to these chambers in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks. At the same time, we call on the owners of the hospital to commence internal investigation with a view to bringing the culprits, those who neglected her, to death, while the police will do their work of unveiling the circumstances that even led to the young lady being shot in the first instance, and also assisting the hospital management to bring the culprits who abandoned her to die in such a gruesome manner. But go on, let's see whether your amendment and further amendment and a combined heads of Abo and Senator Tambua can bring out the import, and Abamoro can bring out the import of what the Senate feels at this particular time. Yes, distinguished Senator Abo.
Thank you, Mr. President, for taking this matter very serious and giving it all the attention that this matter deserves. Thank you once again, Mr. President. The rephrased amendment should read, mandate the committees on health, FCT, and police affairs to investigate the circumstances that led to the death of Ms. Gertrude Orunfemi and report back to the Senate in 3 weeks. Thank you.
Any seconder? Yes, distinguished Senator Kelvin Chukwu.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I rise up to second the motion ably moved by my colleague, Senator Abo. I so move.
So the amendment has been moved and seconded. Those who are in support of the amendment as seconded say aye. Those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. Having taken care of that, the next one is prayer 3, mandate the committees on health, police affairs, and legislative compliance to ensure compliance with this resolution. Those who are in support of this prayer say aye. Those who are against it say nay. The ayes have it. Then any other one? Distinguished Senator Williams.
Mr. President, distinguished colleague, additional prayers that the Ministry of Health should carry out a sensitization exercise across the country urging every hospital to treat victims with or without police reports.
Thank you. Any seconder? Yes. Distinguished Senator Ekong Samson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second that motion as ably moved. My name is Ekong Samson. I speak for the oil-rich Akwa Ibom South. Thank you.
Distinguished senators, a further additional prayer has been added that we should urge all the hospitals and health centers in the country to ensure compliance with the Act by treating gunshot victims whenever they are brought before them. Those who are in support of this additional prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Let me thank the Senior Senator Asukwa Ekpeyon and all those who have contributed to the debate on this all-important motion to say that the Senate is very sad that this occurred in the first place. And in line with prayer one, I want us to rise and observe a minute silence for our late Miss Greatness Olorunfemi and any other soul that could have been lost in such circumstances. The soul of late Greatness Olorunfemi was shot by unknown persons but abandoned by Maitama General Hospital to bleed to death without attention, and the soul of all other departed in such circumstances rest in perfect peace. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators.
Leader of the Senate. The mood of the mood.
Thank you so much, Mr. President, and very distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Mr. President, in view of the fact that we have several committee meetings slated for this afternoon, and in order to allow the chairman and members of the various committees to go and honor their commitments and continue their legislative activities in that regard, I stand to move that we suspend other items on the order paper so that we can adjourn this plenary. I so move, Mr. President.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I stand to second the motion ably moved by Leader of the Senate that the House do adjourn to a later date. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, a motion has been moved by the Leader that we suspend the other items on the order paper due to the number of committee meetings that we have immediately after the plenary to another legislative date. Those who are in support of this motion say aye. Those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. And therefore, the order paper has been exhausted. And in view of that, announcements. The Northern Senators Forum has rescheduled its meeting to hold today, 5th October 2023, immediately after this plenary at Conference Room 231, second floor. Signed, Senator Suleiman Kawu Abdurrahman, OFR, the PRO. On your order paper, the committee wrote Federal Road Maintenance Agency, Committee Room 107, Public Accounts, Committee Senate Hearing Room 4, White House, Committee on Works will take place in Senate Room 211, Committee on Gas, Room 204, Committee on Local Content, Room 204, Committee on Finance, Room 327, Committee on Foreign Affairs, 10th October, that will be at Room 211. The others I read earlier will take place today. Ad hoc Committee on Internal Security will take place in 327 today. And then please refer to your order paper for the other committees, the dates and their time of meetings. Huh? The Senate shall constitute almost all its committees on Tuesday, the 10th day of October, after the plenary. But in the meantime, this Senate is hereby adjourned to the same 10th day of October 2023 at 10 a.m. prompt.